Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing a forecast for the upcoming hot spell and then looking in detail at the thunderstorm risk from Wednesday into Thursday across parts of the UK. But before that, we're going to start off by looking at the overall weather pattern. And you can see today, Sunday, we have an area of high pressure centered across kind of England, and that's responsible for some pretty warm temperatures across most of England and Wales. Sunny spells there as well, though unfortunately across the northwest we have the influence of low pressure and the kind of Atlantic Ocean, so it's more cloudy there. But as we move through the kind of Monday, what starts to happen is that high pressure transfers eastwards, and that kind of opens the gates, if you like, to much warm air which has been sitting over North Africa, the Mediterranean, Spain and Portugal. That then has the opportunity to move north and allow a spell of hot weather across France and of course England, Wales and parts of kind of Ireland and Scotland. But really the focus is going to be across England and Wales, and you can see that clearly here with the temperature chart. Just a reminder, this is not the surface temperature, this is the temperature at 850 hectopascals, which is roughly 1.5 kilometers above the ground. And you can see here, we currently have the green temperatures kind of showing where we don't have kind of any particularly cold air or particularly warm air, more average. But as you move through kind of Monday into Tuesday, as we get that southerly flow starting to move up from the continent, we're bringing a lot of warmer air, and the 15-degree air mass kind of area is just touching our shores from Monday into Wednesday. So that's going to be when the bulk of the heat is affecting us. However, because we have this high pressure that kind of redevelops to the kind of west and then right over us to the north, what that does is it blocks any of this air from getting further than kind of England and the Scottish border. So the heat is going to be focused in this area. And if I show you some of the forecast temperatures, you can see that tomorrow we're likely to reach the high 20s, possibly 30 degrees somewhere, maybe across central England, but it seems unlikely. But you can really see quite the clear cutoff where the high pressure is blocking any of the air from moving further north. It does reach slightly further north on Tuesday, as you may be able to see here. So low 20s across parts of eastern Scotland and Ireland and Northern Ireland. But across the south, we could be seeing 30, potentially 32 degrees, especially in London with the kind of urban heat island effect there. So possibly the warmest day of the year on Tuesday during the afternoon. And of course, it's unlikely to be cloudy or rainy. You can see completely clear on the forecasted radar as well. But then what starts to happen is this area of high pressure gets broken down by low pressure from the west. And what that's going to do is introduce milder air into kind of the end of the week, into next week and the weekend. But also where we have that transition, so from Wednesday into Thursday, we're looking at the potential for thunderstorms and potentially significant thunderstorms. But this is going to be quite a kind of complicated forecast because there's a lot of uncertainty in the models right now. But let me just get a few charts ready here. So this is the kind of upper level air pattern, wind pattern on the GFS model here on Pivotal Weather. I'll put the link in the description. And it shows quite nicely the reason for the thunderstorm risk and also how that might potentially evolve. And so initially we have our ridge of high pressure shown by this kind of bump in the isobars, and that's going to be responsible for kind of, as it moves east, for bringing the air up from the south. And also we have a low over kind of just to the west of Portugal and Spain, and that's going to be moving upwards, bringing the hot air with it. But what kind of starts to happen is we've got a much larger upper level low. Let me change the colour of the pen. We have a much larger upper level low just to the northwest of the UK. And typically when you have a larger, stronger system and a much smaller one, the larger one will kind of drag the smaller one upwards, unless there's something stopping it, of course. But in this case, the larger low will start to drag this smaller low slowly northwards during kind of Monday, Tuesday into Wednesday, and you can see that happening quite nicely there. As that low shifts to the east, the smaller one moves north, and it does weaken, but you can still see evidence of it across France here, kind of the small circle and then the kind of bumps in the isobars there as well. Now the reason this low will be very important is two reasons. Number one, it provides lift, which is rising air, and that allows storms to develop and intensify, and sometimes organise as well. It also shows where the kind of most unstable the most humid and the warmest air mass will be. And we can see that again if we look at the dew point chart here. Let me just get that ready. So you can see we currently have the kind of moist, warm air is across southern France and the Mediterranean. But then if you imagine where that low is, during Tuesday that moves to the north, and you can see it really allows this very humid air mass across France and then into us in the very kind of far south of the UK to develop. And so anywhere in this kind of blue, especially the purple zone, would be seeing very kind of unstable atmosphere and something that would be conducive to strong thunderstorms, particularly where we've got the purple. But the issue is that once the low here has kind of moved east of us, the most unstable air is also going to be east of us, as you can see on this chart. The most unstable air then kind of shifts from this zone into this zone to kind of Germany by over the next kind of couple of days on the model. And we do have residual kind of unstable air here, but it just wouldn't be as intense. Now the reason this is kind of complicated is because if we look at a different model, so if we look at the icon now, instead of moving the low to the south and the east of us, what happens, oh I'm on the wrong chart, one second, what happens is you can see it, number one, stays a little bit further west, but let me get the black pen, sorry. So number one, you can see it stays initially a little bit further west than the GFS, which was more kind of here. This time our low is here, but also it kind of merges into a slightly broader circulation, which actually by kind of Wednesday evening has not completely shifted to the east. So we still retain the kind of more unstable air mass across the UK during Wednesday evening, and you can see that quite nicely. The GFS did not have the purple, really unstable air, but actually the icon does, and you can see we have this unstable air mass all across kind of England during Wednesday evening. And then on top of that, we have a kind of upper level disturbance moving through, as kind of shown here. Oh, sorry, did not mean to do that. One second, let me just try and get rid of this. Sorry. So we also have that upper level disturbance there as well. So we're kind of looking at two scenarios. We're looking at the low which stays to the south and shifts to the east, and I can show you this right now. So this is a GFS. There's our little low pressure. If you just watch it through there, you can see storms form on the northern edge of that boundary, and they don't ever really move into the UK. They stay over Europe, and that low by midnight on Wednesday, or Thursday, sorry, has shifted and the storms are in kind of Germany. If we compare that to the icon, you can see that the low, instead of shifting that way, is kind of more consolidated further west, and we get storms on the northern edge which move into UK during the evening on Wednesday and into Thursday morning, and then you can see there's our storms further north impacting us. So that's kind of the difference right now. So we can't really give a confident forecast either way. However, what I can say is that most models do show a second round on Thursday afternoon regardless. So you can see icon shows here, nothing particularly noteworthy, but the GFS is showing this kind of as a more significant threat. So we kind of have two scenarios. Scenario one, we have the low to the south and then to the east across the continent like the GFS. This would not really impact us in any significant way. But the flip side of this is we get a kind of smaller than the... Actually, let me just continue explaining. The flip side of this is we get a secondary threat on Thursday afternoon across parts of England. The second scenario is we get the icon or arpegge, where we get the kind of the bulk of the unstable air mass is shifted just about into southern England, as you can see there. But the result is that the Thursday afternoon round is a lot smaller. But if you're a storm lover, I'll be hoping for the kind of second scenario, because the unstable air that would hypothetically move into us with the kind of this scenario is a lot more significant than the Thursday afternoon scenario. So that's kind of something to think about. I'll do more updates when we actually get a sense of which is more likely. But the potential hazards, if the more significant one was to occur, is, I mean, number one, on the arpegge model here, what you have is a kind of a singular zone of forcing, likely a convergent zone or kind of a mid-level frontal disturbance. And what that would do is redevelop storms along the same place during the afternoon. And because there's so much instability, they would grow quite significant, and potentially we'd be looking at a significant flood event if that were to occur. That's a big if, across kind of east and southeast, as well as lightning. GFS, if we got the Thursday afternoon scenario, that would kind of just be your normal storms, though with lightning, a bit of a heavy rain risk. Potentially, we could see shear at play in either one of these scenarios, so potentially things could be somewhat organised, but right now I'd say it's a bit too early to say. If you just want an example of one possible scenario, I can show you the the UKV model's simulated radar, and this shows what potentially could happen. Oh, actually, 1 second. There we go. So this shows a potential scenario. We get storms forming during Wednesday afternoon across the south, likely quite intense, and then we get a secondary round on Thursday associated with the main low pushing through. But then, unlike the GFS, we don't have anything significant on kind of Thursday afternoon because the unstable air has cleared it to the east. So that's one scenario, a couple others as well. But to be honest, right now it's too uncertain to give a kind of firm say on what's going to happen. But I'll try and do an update tomorrow, and then Tuesday, and then maybe even Wednesday as well, updating you on which scenario is more likely, and if so, we can give further details about timing, formation, track, areas affected, etc, etc. But anyway, that'll be about it for this video. It hasn't been the most coherent video because I'm kind of out of practice in recording these, but nevertheless, I hope you enjoyed it, and have a good Sunday.